So what I'm here today to tell you is that marijuana being causative of psychosis is the single most important finding we have in schizophrenia research. There's no gene risk, there's no other environmental factor that comes close to the effect size and the reproducibility of marijuana's effects on psychosis. So what is psychosis? You're probably also aware of paranoia. That's often the presenting symptom of marijuana-induced psychosis. Auditory hallucinations, delusions of grandeur, thinking you're Jesus Christ, or the delusions you heard about on the stage. This is all part of it. There are other symptoms, but those are the three ones that I think are among the most striking. The proof for marijuana being causative is not going to be found in one research paper. It's not like a physics experiment where you do a series of experiments and you have an aha moment and you publish one paper on the Higgs boson or something, and that's it. Really, marijuana being causative of psychosis is similar to lung cancer and tobacco, where it took asking questions from many different directions to, get at the issue, the key issue at hand, was it causative, and then reproducing those findings again and again. There are literally hundreds of studies on marijuana and psychosis. So don't buy this notion that we haven't been able to study cannabis. In terms of epidemiology, there are hundreds of studies. The key questions are, is there a dose-response effect? This in pharmacology is considered to be part of the evidence of something being causal. And for marijuana, absolutely. At, I would say, daily use of moderate strength marijuana, the risk for schizophrenia has increased fourfold, whereas for using a couple times a week, it's increased maybe 2 to 2.7-fold. Then the next question is, which comes first? Is it the marijuana use or the psychosis? And this gets at the issue of is it self-medication that's going on, or, does the marijuana actually trigger something? So in Europe, where they have wonderful healthcare systems where everything's centralized and they can collect all sorts of data, they conducted 3 independent studies in different countries of thousands of teens, and they followed them from age 13 onwards. And they asked at regular intervals questions derived to assess their psychosis liability, their actual psychotic symptoms, and then the drug abuse. And the preponderance of evidence shows that undoubtedly the marijuana use precedes the psychosis, not vice versa. Now, there are some patients who become psychotic and have lost such insight that they can or maybe even take up the habit. There's no doubt about it, but it's not helping their disease, it's making it worse. And then in the clinic, it was asked, if you administer purified THC, can you see under controlled clinical conditions psychotic symptoms? Yes, you can. 10 milligrams to 20 milligrams. In people who have no family history of psychosis, 40% will show psychotic symptoms. These are 4 separate studies. So you can't tell ahead of time who is going to be affected. It advances the age of onset of disease, similar to carcinogens causing cancer to happen earlier. Marijuana causes schizophrenia to happen earlier. There are structural changes in the brain. If you see the handout that I have outside, the scans, the MRI scans of the normal brain, it shows highlights of the fibers that are still developing into the late 20s, connecting the subcortical regions to the cortex. And longitudinal studies of the same individuals over time have shown that predominantly the anterior cingulate cortex connection to the superior frontal gyrus is diminished in connectivity in the marijuana users. So undoubtedly, this has some significance, and certainly would be consistent with some of the changes you see in schizophrenia. The final point I'll make, I'm sorry I'm a little long-winded, is how marijuana compares to the other drugs of abuse. Marijuana is the worst. So of all the recreational drugs, again, huge study in Europe and Scandinavia, they followed over 24,000 people who had one form of drug-induced psychosis or another. And what they found was of the marijuana-induced psychosis cases, 50%, 8 years out, were chronically psychotic. Whereas for other drugs, LSD, PCP, cocaine, methamphetamine, the rate was much lower. So you don't have to lace your marijuana with anything. It is really the main actor when it comes to psychosis. Thanks for your attention.